everybody, and welcome back to Plus Ultra Pitching. I hope at this point you have found a changeup that is working very well for you. I hope the progressions have helped, and I hope that you are getting proficient at transitioning it in your glove so you fool your catcher and therefore your batter, your coach, everyone watching you pitch. Today I wanted to go over some of the common themes that I see when people are first learning a changeup. And the first thing that I notice is sometimes the changeup is a little bit faster than we want it to be. So this video is going to really dive into how can we slow our pitch down for the slip change, the circle change, and the flip change. We have all three coming at you today. Let's start out with the slip change. So number one for the slip change, this one could go for the circle too, that I see is sometimes pitchers when they put the ball, when I tell them to put the ball deep in their palm and I tell them to put the palm on the ball first, they put ball in the middle of their palm. I'll put it in the correct orientation. Ball in the middle of their palm and then fingers over, right? And it's okay, right? You can feel it in the palm, you can feel it along the fingers, but you still have this gap between your palm and the ball, right? And I find that sometimes this gap is enough that girls can still get a little bit of a snap to their ball, and the ball will go, your pitch will be a little bit faster than you want it to be for a changeup. So what I tell my girls to do is to focus on feeling it along this bottom part of our palm. So you'll see that, we have our two parts of the palm and this little valley right here when I look at it. You want to really feel the valley of the base of your palm along the ball, and then bring your fingers up and around. And now you can see that space is gone. It's going to make it a lot harder to throw this pitch fast. So let's see what this will look like. I'll show you first when I put it in the middle part of my palm. And now when I put it all the way down into the base of my palm, just like we practiced in our glove transitions a few weeks ago. Now it's really deep in my palm, and the pitch is a lot slower than the one before it. The other thing that might help for the slip change, also might help for the circle change, is once you're satisfied with how deep it is in your palm, but if you still feel like it's too fast, you might want to check your fingers and see if they're too far apart. If your fingers are pretty spread out, first of all, you'll probably have a gap like I do here when I'm trying to hold it with my fingers spread out. So I try to think about these four fingers being closer together, a lot closer than they would be for my fastball. So just so you can see the difference, I started out with my fingers kind of spread like a fastball, and I brought them in, and it helped that ball sit a little bit deeper in my palm. So it's going to just help, again, with that contact to the ball. For the circle change, one thing that I have noticed has really helped my pitchers is, first of all, adjusting the grip a little bit. I do want to make a quick note that if you have small hands, I've got large hands, so I'm able to make this nice circle on the ball. If your hands aren't that big, that's no problem. As long as the intention is there, right? As long as these two fingers are pointing to each other and, if they were to touch, it would make a circle, that's good enough. They don't have to touch. I found sometimes if girls have smaller hands and they make their fingers touch, they create a gap. What's more important for me is the ball's against the palm, again, common theme here, against the base of your palm, and then your fingers, your forefinger and your thumb, your pointer finger and your thumb will point together to make a circle. And the advice I'd like to give for girls who are learning the circle change to slow it down is, instead of releasing it with your palm facing towards the catcher, where sometimes you can still get a little bit of a snap, try to release it with the circle facing the catcher. So if I was pitching to you, instead of palm facing towards the catcher at the release, the circle would face towards the catcher. So that means palm faces catcher. We're going to make that adjustment to turn our palm in towards our body. Let's see how that will look. So the first one I'll do is palm facing the catcher. You can see even though it popped out, it had a little bit of speed to it. Now let's do circle facing the catcher. A lot slower. And you kind of get a cool drop effect when you do it that way as well. So the first thing I'd look at is how deep it is in your palm. Second thing I would look at is how close your four fingers are together on the ball. The third thing I would look at is the release orientation. Is your palm facing the catcher, or is it coming through your pointer finger and your thumb? If your palm is facing the catcher, you might be more likely to snap it. If it's coming through your pointer and your thumb, it's going to really help to slow that pitch down. All right, and for the flip change, what I want to note is that when we release this ball, this one I think is very crucial because this pitch is the same grip as a fastball, right? We're not holding it deep in our palm. So we really need to make sure as we come around that the palm is facing back behind us and our palm is facing forward. If our hand is facing even a little bit in sideways, that pitch is probably going to come off a little bit too fast because your body's just going to whip it like a fastball. So for me, some of the cues that have helped would be telling myself that instead of getting into this elbow down position in the back that we want for our fastball, I try to focus on elbow kind of facing more back behind my body, and that allows me as I come down to rotate at the elbow to get my palm facing back and release it towards the catcher. So instead of thinking elbow up, palm, or elbow down rather, palm up, we're thinking elbow back to get in this almost like sideways position. Elbow still comes down, but we're going to rotate around the ball at that point and release. So that pitch will look like this. Whoops, a little low, which is a good thing, but a little too low for me. So let's try that again with an actual release. There we go. All right. Also remember that not every pitch is going to be perfect. We're looking for incremental progress. If you're just learning this pitch, be patient with yourself. Just try to get the reps in and make these small adjustments because they'll make a really big difference in the speed, and just those couple miles per hour will be enough to fool the batters. So just to recap everything, number one, let me grab a ball so I can show you. Getting the ball deeper in our palm, feeling it against the base of our palm, then wrapping all of our fingers around the ball. Number two is keeping our four fingers closer together on the ball. So instead of four fingers spread apart, try to see if you can keep those a little bit closer together, kind of like you're a robot, or I don't like to use robot actually, but think of it like a paw, right? Number three is how our release orientation, especially for that circle change. So instead of releasing it with our palm facing towards the catcher, releasing it with the circle part of the pitch facing towards that catcher. And just another quick reminder, fingers don't have to actively touch. It's the intention that really matters. And lastly, making sure that for the flip change, when you're next to your hip to release the ball, your palm is facing back and the top of your hand is facing your catcher. I know that was a lot. Go back and rewatch this for your pitch of interest. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week. And as always, plus ultra.